Yo, what is up guys? Hope you enjoyed that track at the beginning there. My name is Jack Gardiner and today we are going to be taking a look at the Difference engine by Black Country Customs, or Laney, shall we say. It's under that branch. My good friends at Laney sent me this to check out and I've been having tons of fun so far with it. Today I'm basically going to show you some patches and also talk a little bit about the unit itself. So the unit is super compact. It's basically three different powerful delays. We have an analog delay in there, a digital delay, and what they've called dynamic delay. And Laney like to say that these are based off three different eras of delay pedals. So the analog delays are based off of, say, tape echoes, where you have lovely modulation. It would be the inconsistencies in the tape and things like that that would give you warble. Wow and flutter are the terms used to describe some of those things. Then the digital delays, which came about in the 80s, where we have these perfect repetitions and things like tap tempo as well and freeze. It's probably the most common one. Most people know how a digital delay works. And then dynamic, which they've based around the 90s style era of delays, where basically things came full circle. People wanted the sound of the warped and kind of modulated delays with the tape echoes, you know, that lovely analog stuff, but also the capabilities of perfect timing like the digital things. And it also introduced ducking, which is really, really handy, especially, you know, when you listen back to a recording and you realize, oh, my like reverbs as well as delays were way too wet. Ducking essentially means that it drops that signal down, I think anyway. So the unit itself is really easy to use. I didn't need a manual. I'm sure Tom Quayle said the same thing. It's really intuitive. It's really compact as well. Not like some of these delays out there on the market now. One thing to point out is that it's powered by 9 volts, 100 milliamps, which a lot of these style of delays are not. They require more. So that's really, really handy. You have MIDI capabilities on the top, which would come in handy if you wanted to, you know, change presets, also using expression pedals, things like that. I'm actually running this in stereo at the minute into the effects loop of the Quad Cortex. So for you digital users out there, this is perfect for that kind of stuff. The Quad Cortex delays are great, but this just has an extra layer of detail and they sound really, really cool. In terms of the interface then, we have the 4 controls over here on the left. So you've got color, which affects modulation. You have mix, which is how loud those delays are. Tone, how bright or dark they are. And then you have repeats. So how long those delays will last, essentially. Feedback is another word to use to describe that. Over on this side, we have the edit wheel. Now, this is handy for changing the speed of the delays. And if you actually click this in, then it will change where we need to be, so we can change different numbers, etc. On the right, you have the menu function, and this is where you'll probably spend a lot of the time actually editing these delays. So you can see if we went into the edit window there, you can change the type of delay that we've got. So analog, digital, or dynamic, and then all the parameters down here, which is really, really cool. And then if we come out of here, then we have the mode function down here. So that changes between preset mode or live mode. So in preset mode, if I was to click along on these buttons, basically just banks up to the next preset. Now, you can turn on preset or live mode if you are to click both of these buttons together as well. And that works. But essentially, if you are in live mode, then what you get is you can enable the tap tempo function or the freeze function. So really cool. I'm going to stick into preset mode for now. But that basically describes how you'd use the unit. The screen is really handy. Sorry if there's some flickering there. That is just a frame rate issue being in Europe. It absolutely sucks being in 24 frames per second for these kind of things. Yet the screen does not flicker in real life. But I guess it's time to hear some tones and some of the presets that I've put together. It's worth pointing out that this unit comes with 100 presets inbuilt, and they're by some of my favourite artists, people like Larry Basilio, Alex Hutchins, Tom Quayle, I think people like that. Let's start off then with an analog style delay, which I've made. So this is with the speed pretty low. I've basically got the modulation up quite a bit here. I've got the mix kind of high, and then tone is quite dark compared to usual, I guess, for me, as someone who likes brightness. And then the repeats are basically kind of quarter of the way there, I'd say. So let's hear what it sounds like anyway. Hopefully you can hear that modulation there in those repeats. It's just lush, not lush. Basically, I've called this sheets, and there's a few ways you can use this. You could use it as a layer in your compositions, but I like to actually use it as a bit of a practice tool. So I'll use the repeats to create a bit of a groove. And if I want to create like the sound of a certain scale or mode or whatever, then I can use it in my practice. So things like this. Really, really cool, but of course you could use this to layer chords as well, so... Just a super, super lush sound. Essentially, that's why I called it sheets. Great practice tool and great for layering. Now, if we move up to the next preset, this one I have called Jack G Lead. Now, this is a dual delay. I'm using the dynamic delay as well here. One's basically set as a dotted eighth note and the other as a quarter note, I guess, on one side, so left and right. And basically, that is what I would use for my gain sounds. I'm just going to change patch here to a dirtier sound so that you hear, and this is what we get. And I would use that as kind of my main delay sound, I would say, for lead stuff. It's worth pointing out that that's quite wet, I think, at the minute. Yeah, so it's at 50%, so you could always dial that down a bit and then maybe use some reverb as well to just fatten it out. In terms of modulation, I'm actually using quite a bit. Tone is about a third of the way there, and then the repeats are quite small, really. The feedback is quite low, I should say. If I add a bit of reverb, let's check this out. Big spacey leads, really. Really, really cool. If I turn the reverb off and turn that mix down, it can be quite subtle as well. So if I turn off that reverb and then bring down the mix. Will probably sit much better in a mix, I would say. Anyway, let's move on then to my next preset. This one is, again, a dual delay, but this is intended to be used with chords. So if I play something a bit cleaner, it's what you heard at the beginning of the track there, where basically I was playing some higher up chords. It was before the gain kicked in or before the groove kicked in, and you're getting that sound of the... If you hear a single note, check out those repeats. So it could be used in that way as well, but it sounds really huge when you play a chord. Really good for layering or for using those kind of rhythmic devices, I guess. Maybe a little bit more playing, and then let's move on to my next preset. Really enjoyed that one. Now, moving to the next one. This is the final one, and this is the one you heard right at the beginning. This is a little trick I like to use where basically I set it to a dotted eighth note at, say, I think we're at 120 BPM here, and I will actually play eighth notes. I set the mix quite low actually here, but it still works. The modulation is working, the tone is quite far down, and then the repeats are at 25%. But basically we want this to cut through to give us a rhythmic texture. So if I play... If I play them again, let me just turn that colour down a little bit. It also works great for, you know, like chordal playing or lead playing. It's kind of like a simple delay. Really, really cool. That pretty much sums it up for me anyway. I hope you enjoyed those patches, and I would highly recommend it for those of you that are looking for a powerful delay unit in a compact format that's not going to take a ton of power. I'm going to check with the guys, but hopefully I'll be able to share those presets with you and you can try them out for yourselves. What do you think of this unit? Do you like it? Would you put it on your board? Would you use it in kind of a combo with a digital unit like the Quad Cortex or Axifex or something like that? Let me know down below in the comments. As always, please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, all that rubbish that you're used to hearing, but it does just help the channel grow. I always feel a bit saying it, but yeah, it's one of them. Thank you so much, guys. Please do check out the Difference Engine by Black Country Customs or Laney. I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.